afternoon. Welcome to another week of We the People. Jerry's gone back into rehab. He's not with us today.
Maybe we have to visit Jerry. Hello everyone, how you all doing? I hope you're doing well. I think we are coming out of the flu season. There's not a lot of people that
Well, do you get your flu shot?
No, I don't take that thing. Why put something in my body that I don't need it? You know, I don't think it's necessary. Not for me.
You do that,
yeah,
right?
I have my little home remedy, so I don't need those kind of things, you know? So.
Yeah, I haven't heard as much about flu, and I haven't heard of as many people being sick.
Yeah.
For a while there, everybody you talk, right after Christmas, everybody you talked to was.
So I suppose the storm and passes over this weekend, huh?
Again.
They were expecting some snow, you know, I've called Public Works.
I was anxious to see what our snowplows would do.
Yeah, a lot of people from the Public Works Department, they were really planning for this one.
Well.
Even though it was only an inch, right?
I would hope they would learn from their mistakes.
Yeah. I want to bring up just an announcement, and I want to remind people, there's a great jazz series, Baby Grand series at the Hartford Public Library every Sunday from 3 to 4. It's all free. Now, really
it's been very well attended, right?
It has been. But again, I want to go back to say it's mostly suburban resident there. I would love to see more of Hartford people there. And this week coming up, it's going to be Jeff Wieselberg. Wieselberg is going to be playing. The last time I was there, the sax and the flute was awesome. I just love that. So it's very enjoyable. I encourage people to take advantage of these good free stuff. They have a secret sponsor that sponsor them, and I think it's really something great for us to enjoy. Are
you their secret sponsor?
No, I wish I was. But I just want to say, and again, I just want to remind people about especially our seniors, and we're going to be thinking of looking or doing maybe a survey in looking at what younger seniors want to do at the senior center at 830 Maple Avenue. See, we can get it open possibly on a Saturday or something like that, or even later on in the evening, just to get more people in that center. It's such a beautiful place. Oh, we have a really great cook now, so I'm going to invite you over for lunch. It's really great. So take advantage of the good things that's happening in Hartford. There's a lot of good stuff, and all you have to do is pay $20 a year for your membership. There's a lot of exercise. I've been going over there to exercise.
Oh, for the senior center. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been going there to exercise, and it makes me feel a whole lot better. So it's really important for people to, yeah, I'm serious. You should go over there and start exercising. That bicycle thing is very good for your stomach and all that. So I encourage you.
What are you saying, I have a stomach?
Well, I'm just saying I'm encouraging you to possibly go over there and do some workout, you know?
And before we go much more into the program, we're going to be talking about a few different things. I just want to once again thank Sister Trish, who gets us on the air, gets the cameras working, comes in here and sets up for us. She puts up with a lot of grief and aggravation.
And it shouldn't be like that.
Most of it's unnecessary, but she still puts up with a lot of grief and hangs in there, still gets stuff done.
Well, let's face it. You ever heard the saying, "Is nothing lasts forever," right?
You can only hope.
Okay, all right.
But I think, and we get a lot of calls asking about all these programs the executive director has on it, the LOB and this and that. That's not the meaning of public access television. Now, she would be more of a leader if she was getting people from the community and teaching them how to do those programs.
Right.
That's what public access is supposed to be about, not for her to grandstand and get her face out there.
It's to encourage more local people
That's
to
the
get
whole idea
involved, to
public.
produce their own show and get it out on the air. You know, that's what it's all about.
Even like Jonathan, he said he wanted to do a show. Well, that's where somebody should reach out to him, or he should show up at the producers meeting.
He should come in and look and see if there's people in here. There should be people in here to train people to do all that. I know.
There's no training here.
There should be training.
There's not. Do you think anybody has offered a class how to do green screen, which is what we do behind us?
Right, but it is.
We taught ourselves how to do that.
Yeah, but it is one of the responsibility of running a public access TV. You're supposed to be working with young people to encourage them to get involved and learn how to produce their own show. Or it doesn't matter whether you're young or old. Just bring people in, advertise to get people coming, And I know when Aisha was here, she was doing some training a couple of years ago. I'm not sure, but that's something that we need to encourage more of, you know?
Well, that's, you know, not to beat a dead horse here, but that was something Naisha and Stan McCauley both did, was educate, have classes on Saturdays, take people out in the field. And then unfortunately, the board of directors, who's blind pretty much to what goes on here, terminated him because they wanted to go in a new direction. I don't know what that new direction is. We keep jokingly saying it's reverse because this place has gone down the tubes so much. But anyway, thank you, Sister Trish, for putting up with all this and for getting us on the air Monday after Monday.
Okay.
She's here whether there's a foot of snow, whether it's freezing rain, whatever. Usually I have to call her and say, stay home. You know, she's already on her way down here. But she's dedicated to this operation here. And I wouldn't doubt that anybody that wants to start a show, if they were looking for someone to help them and get them off the ground, Sister Trish is also somebody that
I would encourage,
is very helpful.
Our resident to get more involved, and the way of getting involved is call the director of Hartford Public Access or whoever it is, and find out if they do have training on a quarterly base or whatever, monthly base, weekly base, to see if they have training for people to come in and produce their own shows.
But you got to do it at the right time because she's probably out at her real job, and it's hard to catch her here.
Oh, okay.
Although I did see her door cracked today, so
Oh, wow.
school must be closed.
No, I don't think it's vacation time yet. But anyway, what's going on for the week? I know tonight we're having our public, our town committee meeting, and Public Works supposed to be there.
Yeah, that's one of the notes I had for something we want to talk about was the Hartford Democratic Town Committee is going to be meeting tonight in the function room at City Hall. Even if you're not a member of the town committee, even if you're not a Democrat,
You should get in.
if you want to show up and see how the system operates, maybe get involved down the road. It's a public meeting. It's open to the public. You're more than welcome. Show up at City Hall at 7 o'clock in the function room, which is on the second floor at the opposite end of the atrium from the council chambers. Tonight, at least as of right now, Mayor Segura and Kevin Burnham from the Public Works Director are going to be there to answer questions regarding the snowstorm and how things are
I'm hoping
operating.
they come with their, I'm hoping Public Works come with their notepad to take some note on some of these things that, you know, and they will hear at a community meeting. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if they're probably willing to show up on any community meeting after they lost, you know, the last storm. But the fact is that you have to face the public to let them, explain to them why we couldn't have done a better job.
Well, and
because
that's-
mostly, I'm gonna tell you to be honest, Kevin, most of our street is still only one half a lane.
Well, luckily we've had a few 45-degree days lately.
Right, but the snow is still hard.
Yeah.
And because we don't have the heavy rain came down, it still is.
Well, I just came up Maple Avenue earlier, and right across from the post office in Berry Square, it's still like half a lane is covered
Yeah.
with snow.
Yeah.
So you're like driving in the
street-
snowbank to stay in your
My
lane.
street is like you still park over here for one car to go through.
Right.
You know, and I'm looking at some of the other side streets, and it's
But
just
that's
like
the
that.
stuff that's why this city is so poorly managed. There's no, or hasn't been any debriefing scheduled to the best of my knowledge, because nobody's perfect. You know, no matter how good you are, even if our streets were cleaned
Right.
perfectly,
Right.
they should still sit down and say, what worked, what didn't work, what could we do differently, where could we be more efficient? And we know they didn't do a perfect job, so they should be sitting down saying, you know, did we plan for this early enough? Did we have enough staff in? How did the trucks operate?
Well, the point is, I think their phone was so clogged up that they weren't answering the phone.
I know a few people I tried calling, their voicemails were all
Yeah,
full.
well, full.
So-
Yeah. I have a resident calling me. I say, I'm not a public work director, but I'm gonna try to see if I can connect with somebody. And, you know, shamefully, I tried to call a couple people, but it went to voicemail or.
I can tell you almost gave out some names there, and it's probably the same names we
voice box
had.
was all filled up, and so they couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
But to look at what went on, you know, and you know, they did the best they could. I just feel they could have done better, you know, and it goes back to the proper leadership and how you deploy. Okay, I look at
I think
Kenneth Street.
It comes to the question, is there leadership?
Right.
Do you feel there was real leadership during the storm?
I'm not sure what was told to these guys, you know. And you could also have good leadership, but you don't have good people to do the job.
Well, if you don't put it into operations out there.
Right, but if you don't have people who are qualified to do the job, you'll still end up looking bad. But you know, as a leader, I would say I want to make sure that whoever I'm putting in the job is doing a good job, because it reflected me.
That's one of the reasons we switched back to strong mayor. The buck stops with him. He's accountable for what goes on in this city.
Yeah.
And the blame should squarely be put on the mayor's shoulders when the system fails.
But again, it goes back to, he's the mayor, he has a director that's supposed to be in charge of. That director have people who he's supposed to be in charge of. But what I'm trying to say, Kevin, if the person, whether it's the mayor have somebody in the position that's not getting the job done, what do you do? If the director have someone doing these jobs and they're not getting the job done, what do you do? You know?
Well, we know what would be done in the private sector.
Yeah, we know what will be done in
the
suburban town too. Those things don't happen in suburban town, because they make sure when they do a job, and I'm not saying maybe not, nobody's perfect. But the point is that we have to make sure whoever we put in the job, they are qualified to do it. And they're gonna give 100%, not 55, not 55%.
And I haven't been to New Britain, so I don't know what their streets look like after the storm. But last Thursday night I was out, and the deputy chief of staff to New Britain's mayor was there with us. And we talked, and he was getting complaints from their residents that the snowplows were going by their houses too much in the middle of the night and waking them up.
Oh, please.
I said, I would have loved to have been able to complain about that.
We didn't have anybody coming by our house in the middle of the night.
I said, I slept very well because the plows weren't out there making noise.
It's like you can't satisfy people.
Like, everybody's going to, no matter what you do, and we do it, everybody does it, you're going to complain about no matter what. But that would have been a nice complaint to hear from people, is that they were plowing my street too much and waking me up.
Right.
Instead of knowing that they went home in the middle of the storm
and
didn't come out until 2 days later.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we really need to look at our operations. And this isn't the first time.
Right.
Traditionally,
it's a
Hartford
curve
has always done a poor job. Is it because we don't budget enough and we need to plan on every storm bringing in contractors?
I don't think it's not because we don't budget enough. Kevin, what you don't understand is, it goes back to everything we do. We do education, we do not do it right with our poor kids. Whatever we do.
The only thing we're doing right now is public safety.
That's something we have to talk more about, because I got to give but we'll talk more about that. But the point, and fire, public safety, police and fire. But the point is, whatever we do, most time, 90% of the time, it's no quality. Right now, at our senior center in Maple Avenue, the building is only like about 5 or 6 years old, right? And you imagine you have 2 or 3 guys coming over every day at a certain time, and they're supposed to be cleaning the first floor, and they're supposed to be cleaning the whole building.
Watching your flat screen TV instead?
Yeah, watching flat screen. And you can go there and you can write your name on the TV because of how dusty it is. You can look around the floor and look in the grime and dirt.
But that also comes down to supervision. There's somebody from DPW that's supposed to be supervising.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So there's no proper supervision with whatever we do. Why is it somebody behind you saying, oh, it's not done properly, do it properly? No, nobody oversees these things.
But that's the same time, and I know you don't go in the men's room at City Hall, but when you go in there, they smell of urine.
Because they're
not cleaning. Get out the bleach, put it in the bucket and mop, and clean the floor.
Right. This morning, bulky waste, okay? There's some mattress out, some old rugs out.
That was the majority of my phone calls last week, phone calls and emails. When are they picking up our trash?
Yeah, well.
And then the people would call 311, and 311 had no idea. Oh, we're on a holiday schedule.
Yeah.
Well, what day is my street on the holiday schedule?
Well, people were told, though, that the garbage wasn't going to be picked up until Tuesday because of Monday holiday, and I know they hadn't picked up for the whole week because of the snow and all that. And they were told that they shouldn't put out until the day. But the point what I'm trying to make here is that whatever we do in life, I don't care how degrading it is or whatever, professional-wise, you do 100%, okay? Because we should expect a lot. And when we don't expect a lot, we don't get a lot, okay? people
Well, you
have to be
mentioned
held
before
accountable.
the things that happen in Hartford wouldn't happen in the suburbs. That's because the taxpayers in the suburbs
Demand.
hold their leaders accountable.
Exactly, exactly.
You know, there's people that when they call the police in Hartford, it's getting better, but it's still, depending on how busy they are, you could wait an hour or two before a cop shows up. And I had the town manager from one of our neighboring towns say, if my residents called and had to wait 6 or 8 minutes for a cop to show up,
They're
they'd be
raising,
at my office the next morning
exactly,
complaining.
but we don't, Hartford people
but
don't.
We just,
They just sit and they
Okay.
complain and gripe and gripe and gripe about stuff, you know? Holding people accountable is really important. They gotta understand that I put you there for a job and it needs to be done
and
right.
that we mentioned the town, Democratic Town Committee. I'm on the 7th district. I'm the spokesperson, myself and Vicki Fennell. I'm on the town committee for the 7th. But I was very impressed, the Monday after the storm, both the 5th district and the 7th district got, and we didn't invite you, I'm sorry, but.
Why not?
But I heard it from the first two, why didn't you invite us?
Yeah,
But
okay.
I don't know how many people we could fit on a conference call, but.
That's okay.
But anyways, the 5th and the 7th got together with a conference call and put together a plan of accountability. And that's the reason that the mayor and Kevin Burnham are coming to our meeting tonight. That was one of the things we asked for. And I have to say, I'm very impressed with that, because the town committees haven't always been into listening to their constituents. And one of the reasons is, we were all, myself, Vicki, Steve Harris, who's in the 5th, people from all across the city that a lot of people know we're on the town committee now. We're getting these phone calls. We voted for you, you got elected, what are you gonna do to help us with this problem?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the same reason we get the calls about trash pickup.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very impressed with the people in our district, the 5th district, and other districts as well, that are actually stepping up to the plate and trying to start a degree of accountability. The mayor is gonna come to us when he wants to run for office again, and we decide whether or not he gets our endorsement. And then if he doesn't get our endorsement, then he has to run in a primary and get petitions to be on the ballot, which typically in Hartford, the endorsed slate normally are the ones that win. It's hard to run as a challenger. But we have that responsibility to the people in the city to put up the best candidates we can. And if we're not holding them accountable during this term now, why would people think we're gonna do it 2 or 3 years from now when we
Right.
endorse them again?
Right.
So I'm very happy with the people from the town committee that are stepping up and trying to have a degree of accountability. It's probably not appreciated by everyone, but
And we're not saying that all of our town committee members are committed people, because sometimes we haven't seen them.
some you have to ask, why are they even there?
Exactly, but the point is that, and I think they probably forgot they were elected, so therefore it doesn't really matter to them.
Well, I think it's part of, you also have to understand, the last elections, last year, the town committee is going through some transformation.
Emotion, yeah. They
From the period when Eddie Perez stacked the town committee with people that were accountable to him, whether city hall
Yes,
employees,
people.
people from nonprofits, that he could control. If you're a city employee, you're not gonna do anything to challenge the mayor if you know it's gonna affect your job. Most of the people that are on the town committee now
Doesn't behold.
are no longer beholding to city hall. The fire chief who used to be on there, some of the people have actually gotten laid off, like Edison Silva from L&I. A lot of people retired and left. People that were, Carmen, who was getting money for her nonprofit. These are all the people that were able to be put under Mayor Perez's thumb.
Right.
That's changed, where it's a much more independent town committee now. People that are willing to put their neck on the line and stand for things they believe in. And I can't say enough about the majority of the people in the 7th district. Vicki Fennell is somebody I never knew before. She is extremely organized, worked very hard on the Obama and Murphy campaign, is always putting out, if there's a job posting somewhere, she's sending it out to the people in our district that are looking for jobs. So we come, Doug McCrory, the state rep, is on our town committee. Just a lot of hard workers, which is what the town committee should be about.
Should be about, yeah.
I know you're on in the
Because-
6th down the south end.
Yeah, because we are the ears and eyes, or whatever you may call it, for holding people accountable, and that's why it's so critical Because when we get called from our residents saying something happened, and I call whoever I need to call to make it get done, and it doesn't get done, I don't stop until it gets done, okay? I had a lady call me about her garbage was put out and never got picked up for the whole week. Now I call 311. I also call somebody I know in Public Works, and I want to know what's going on. Why is this garbage didn't get picked up? You know, oh, I'm going to send somebody over there. So I think it's all about accountability, and I believe strictly and strongly in holding people accountable. I don't care who they are, the governor, the mayor, whoever they are, that's supposed to be doing our job. I think they need to be held accountable. Just as we supposed to be held accountable, they need to be held accountable.
Well, that's, you know, even with Chief Ravella, you know, we've developed somewhat of a friendship. I think he's a terrific guy. But people have posted on the blog, oh, what are you going to turn on him like you've turned on others?
Yeah, what are you
It's
going to
not
turn
a
on
matter
my
of
chief?
turning on him. I will keep supporting him as long as he's doing stuff that I think is right and I believe in.
And I think, Kevin, is, you know, people don't like when you talk the truth about stuff. You know, truth hurt people at times. It does. It does. Even though they know it's the truth. But the point is that when you have somebody who is outspoken and want to tell the truth about stuff, no holds bar. You say it.
Well, I'm sure there's people in DPW that are upset with it.
Agree to disagree. And move on. Okay? If you're the kind of person that take everything so personal, then you shouldn't be in that kind of a position. You should know that you're going to get scrutiny from somebody in the public sometime. But you got to learn to agree to disagree. That's what I call leaders. Leaders are people who agree to disagree.
And we don't, you know, we don't do any of this with a personal vendetta or a personal agenda. There may be people I dislike in city government because of what they've done, but it's not that I just, oh, I hate them, so I'm going to find whatever I can on them. It's, you're being paid very well to do a job for the city. And stand up to what you're supposed to do and come through for it.
Be strong about, well, you know, I'm not going to let this affect me. Okay, as a matter of fact, this can help me improve on what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't want to, you know, I'm not looking to be your friend. I'm not looking to be your enemy. What I am looking for is people that care about the city of Hartford and put the city of Hartford first.
Accountability.
And that's, I just had a conversation this morning with Councilman Cruz. He just did a residency study on all of our department heads. He emailed me.
That's interesting.
I really haven't had a chance to read it yet. He emailed it to me about an hour ago. But there's one that we know flat out doesn't live in the city of Hartford. It's not that I want to see him get fired, but he entered into a contract with the people of Hartford to be a Hartford resident, put Hartford first by being a resident here. It's Jaffe from Dispatch Center.
And so how, I mean, I'm giving you 6 months to do something about it. Is it 6 months past already? Is it a year past already? Why haven't that issue been resolved by our
that's
leader?
the thing. He entered into a contract. Anything he's doing now is a fraud. You're breaching your contract with the people of Hartford, and it should be enforced, and you should be held accountable. It's not that we like him, we don't like him, whatever.
It's about accountability.
It's about putting Hartford first, which we've talked about that last week. You know, whether it comes to jobs or, you know, whatever. We need to start looking out for our Hartford people first. And even it goes so far, you know, we've talked about this before on the show. If you need a screwdriver or a box of nails or something, don't run to the big box stores. Go to Park Hardware or Capital Hardware or one of these stores that's based in Hartford. Because if we don't, it'll be another empty storefront.
Right. Yeah.
If you're going to go out to dinner, don't run to Blueback Square. We've got plenty of good restaurants in Hartford. If you're going to...
Maybe we need to build a Blueback Square in Hartford.
No, Eddie Perez said it would never work.
Maybe we need a cheesecake factory in Hartford. You know,
There's a lot of
maybe we could open one downtown in the Front Street, you know?
But
I mean, I would go there. I mean, let's face it. I have to go to West Hartford to go to get
but why would the Cheesecake Factory come to Hartford
when
they're going to pay 3 times the taxes that they would pay in West Hartford?
But we need to work it so that these people can afford to stay in Hartford.
Eddie Perez, do you remember when he said Blueback Square would never be a success?
But Blueback Square outdid us. Okay?
Well, I'd like to have a few failures like Blueback Square in Hartford right now.
You know, so again, we gotta be sensible. We gotta be smart about how we do things. This is a small
If you've
little
got
city.
Oriental rugs you need clean, don't
Come
take them out
over
of town.
here, I
Come
can
to
clean them
Hyacinth.
for you. But the point is that we're a small little city, and we need to make sure we're looking out for our resident. I'm not sure if you saw anything, but I saw this in the paper in the Hartford News where the capital improvement, with the economic development. All of these things are going to be happening in Hartford.
Do you believe it?
Well, wait a minute. I believe it, but the thing I didn't see
It was like
my
2 or
street
3
in there.
pages, wasn't it?
I didn't see my street in there, and I want to know why my street wasn't on there. Okay, but that's another story. I'm planning maybe tomorrow to go to the planning and zoning people.
See, but that's
and
another
ask
one,
them.
as the economic development director, goes home to Providence, Rhode Island most nights
Right.
of the week.
Well,
I don't know if he's doing it in a city car with city gas.
I'm not sure if he knows what he's talking about when it comes to economic development. But the whole point is, I noticed where Kyle and this and said, we're going to make sure we sit down and work with these people to make sure they bring in the contractor, the people who work, and make sure we have as much people from Hartford get involved with these projects. Well, it's nice and good to say, but unless you have a watchdog watching over these people to make sure it happens, it doesn't happen.
And this is a conversation I've had with a few people this past week, a couple of them actually at City Hall. And I like Kyle Anderson. He's done some, he's out there, he's involved, he's talking to people. But this council needs to step up, and enough of the lip service. Start putting this stuff into action. You can sit and talk all you want, but if it's not happening, it means nothing to the people of Hartford.
Right.
We need to start, even like the faith-based initiative. We've talked and we've met and we've talked and we've met and we've documented and sent out minutes and put together lists. I still don't think it's ready to go. God forbid, we've done very well on homicides. We haven't had one yet this year. So sorry, Chief. My luck will have one tonight now that I've said it. But the thing is, we've talked it to death. If there's a homicide tonight, that faith-based initiative needs to be ready to jump into action.
Are you telling me that they don't have all the ministers connected with a size of for each neighborhood to address any issues?
We've got all the names and email addresses and phone numbers, but
so we do.
If there was, let's just say,
say somebody shot
worst
somebody
case,
down there.
there's a homicide in your neighborhood tonight.
Yeah.
Is there somebody from the faith-based initiative that will be there to start getting help for the family, start doing the things that are going to make a difference? Even as far as part of what it's planned for is to try to prevent the retaliation.
Right,
Get the
and the chief
ministers
has done a
involved with
great
the
job
family.
in that, and I got to applaud him for that. He's doing a wonderful job. I'm very excited
He's only
about.
one person now.
I know he's only one person, but the one person is doing a good job by making sure he connect all the links together to make sure.
But now it's got to start working.
Huh?
It's got to start working now.
Well,
we've talked it to death.
Yeah, but the thing is that none seriously hasn't happened yet, so we need to jump into action. You have to have everything all set.
But what I'm saying is, it's not. If it happened tonight, it's not ready to make that one call and say, "Go." This is your first one. Start.
How you know that isn't?
I know it's not, because I'm on the list, and nobody's told me, okay, if something happens in your neighborhood, you're going to be called.
Is your church a part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again,
we actually hosted the last meeting.
Okay. So I would think if something happens, and I'm very pleased with what's going on. Things seems to be very quiet. I heard there was a shooting somewhere up in. Is it in Frog Hollow or somewhere like that? But anyway,
I think there was one over the weekend.
Okay, Chadwick, I think, Street or something like that. Most likely it was drugs again. But the point is that we've been calm. We've been calm, and I'm very grateful to that, because the chief have made sure he put out the detectives out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening, and I wanted to mention that today. I think it was today. 9 new members. Or 9 new Hartford officers were assigned to the shooting task force
that's wonderful.
to fill some holes.
Good.
There was a new CSO that's been assigned to the faith-based initiative. That's his function, is to work with the ministers and everything. So that'll probably spur things along.
So I think that CSO will probably have all the information. So if
I don't know
something
anything about it.
happens, well, the way I look at it, and if it's well organized, the way I think of it, is that CSO is responsible to call your church and say, hey, I have such and such a person. Here's how your minister can reach out to the family to make the connection and do things.
Well, we know Reverend Brown already does that on his own a lot.
Yeah, well, Reverend Brown.
He shows up with the families and does things. But this Officer Morgan, and actually today, there's been a few changes in the police department today. I'm not sure if it's actually starting today or 2 weeks from now. It was supposed to start today, and I think it was put on hold for some reason. The city used to be divided into 4 areas. Northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest. Each one had a captain, and inside each one of those areas, there were 2 zones and each one had a lieutenant. Now that's been changed. We now have 3 districts, north, central, and south.
Right.
And they've eliminated 2 of the lieutenants in each one, I think. So instead of having 8 lieutenants out there overall.
My lieutenant is still
there's
there,
now
right?
6. Your lieutenant, I have assurances he's gonna be there for a while.
Okay, good. So I think that's, you know, it's 3 area, south, center, and north.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And it cuts back on a lot of the waste and the overlapping.
Right, so you gotta place people where you think they're more effective.
And each one of those areas has their own deputy chief. North is Emery Hightower, the central district is Chief Brooks, Neville Brooks.
And my own is?
And yours is Chief Rodriguez, Louis Rodriguez.
Mhm.
All 3 of them, long
I need to get
timers,
his number.
great community people.
Yeah, I think they're doing, you can give it to me later, don't give it to me now.
I'll put it over the air. Anybody wants to call Chief Rodriguez?
I will definitely, as I said, I've seen a lot of difference, and I know it's winter time and everybody's in their house and they're not all disturbing anything, but I'm sure that the chief is all geared up for the spring and the summer coming, to make sure, because as I said, he has placed detective in areas, in different areas, because I know there's a couple in my area. So the point is that they're there.
He's made a lot of good changes.
Yes. Yes.
One of the things he's done, and the reason you have detectives in your area, is the police department prior to Chief Ravello was what they called centralized. It means all the detectives, everybody worked out of the police station. Which, if you don't get out of the police station,
should be in the neighborhood.
You don't see a lot that's going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah, in the neighborhood.
Now, Chief Ravello has taken the auto theft and the burglary detectives and put them out in the neighborhoods where they actually work. So let's just say in your area, if you've got a burglary detective working out of the Maple Avenue, which I think is where their offices are right now, they're going to be driving the streets, they're going to be traveling around and say, oh, there's Joe Smith, he's a burglar, he must have just gotten out of prison.
Right.
They're going to recognize people on the streets that they wouldn't see if they were in the office up at Jennings Road. And it makes it more of a personal thing too. They're now out in your neighborhood. You can find them when you need them. You'll recognize them if they're going into Dunkin' Donuts or Subway or whatever. So the decentralized makes a lot more sense.
Right. And with our with Trinity giving the police department that corner's place to do the shooting task force, I think it was just such a what a thought.
It's not.
It was just
not the shooting task force.
Is the shooting task force there?
There may be a couple people in and out of there from the shooting task force. For those not familiar, at the corner of New Britain and Broad Street, it used to be an old sneaker place for a while. It's been retail, a lot of different things.
But it belongs to Trinity.
It's a fairly modern building. There was some issues with asbestos, and they had to do a lot of renovations. But Trinity stepped up. I don't know if they gave it or they're leasing it, but is allowing the police department use of this building. And what they call Part 1 crime, which is your real serious crimes, robberies, shootings, things like that. A lot of that has happened in the Berry Square area and on that corner where the 2 gas stations are. Those 2 gas stations have been a chronic problem.
Right.
Having a police presence right across the street from now, I think is going to clean things up. But Trinity stepped up, and originally they were going to give, I think, $100,000 to renovate the building, plus give the city use of the building. The last figure I have is they were up to about $250,000, and it's going to be all included. It's going to have a community meeting or community room in there for people that, if you wanted to have a little meeting or something with your CSOs.
As a matter of fact, I had lunch with Jimmy, and he says, "Well, I hope, Hyacinth, you could have used that community room." I said, "Of course, I'm going to be."
I don't know how many. It's not going to be real big. I don't know how many.
No, but it's something that we can have.
But if if you're bored, or if you say you're having an issue with a business owner and you want to sit down with the Webster and a couple bars with your CSO or with your lieutenant, it's a room that's going to be open to the public. There's going to be cubicles in there for your CSOs, your walk beats, the cops who are in the districts in that area can go in there and do reports and things like that. So
I'm very happy about it because it's funny because
and Trinity really stepped up on it.
Yes, and it's like it's a win-win situation for Trinity too because they're building their new townhouses there, and they need those the security.
I think Trinity is. And, it's still early. The new public or campus safety director, for those that aren't familiar, Chief Ortiz, who used to be in New Haven, and then he was, I think, Yale PD. He was the chief of the Yale Police Department for a little while. He's now the campus safety director at Trinity. And I was in a meeting with him last week, along with your lieutenant. And they're really looking at crime in the neighborhood, which they have to. Because any parent that's going to send their kids to a college is going to pull up all the reports that Trinity has to file each year on crime statistics. So they're looking at, you know, an all-new way of patrolling the campus,
And
getting some accountability from their officers,
Yeah.
you know, looking at trends in the neighborhood, you know, where they having car thefts, and all what we call the ComStat package, all those things that.
Oh, we need to go to another ComStat meeting.
Yeah, the figures that are available, and it only makes sense. You want to identify the trends and look at, you know, where a burglary is happening. So Chief Ortiz seems like he's really eating that stuff up.
Well, he's really good with working with our lieutenant, because I usually often see him there.
Yeah,
you know, so I think it's
and I know they're working very closely on this
it's a true partnership.
new substation.
Yeah, it's a true partnership here, and I think, as I said, it goes back to we can, you know, Trinity is only going to benefit, our neighborhood is going to benefit.
That's the big thing, and all like all the signage on the building
Yes.
is going to be Hartford Police at Trinity College.
Yeah.
Now, what parent wouldn't love to see that when they're touring a campus?
Yeah.
Knowing,
Yeah,
geez, my kids are going to be safe. There's a police substation
Right,
right on the campus.
and again, you know, nothing is totally, you know, bulletproof safe, but the point is that we have to educate people too. The kids on campus need to be educated about, you know, when they should be out there in the street and stuff like that.
Well, see, that's the problem. A lot of the kids that go to Trinity have never really been out in the real world. A lot of them come from well-to-do suburban areas across the country, or even from outside the country. A lot of students from Japan and Asian countries. And I don't think they realize some of the dangers that can occur in an urban area. So it's important that they, you know, are taught what to look for. You can't just go walking anywhere you want at 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
especially
3 o'clock in the morning.
Some areas that aren't the safest.
Right. And Trinity's also looking at doing a store too. And as a matter of fact, the president was asking me what you think would be good for that neighborhood, and I told him, you know, to be honest, I said you need to probably move your bookstore or something off campus and put them into the neighborhood so we can have more interaction, like Brown University. Brown bookstores in the community, so it's a busy place all the time, and make it more with not just books but with computer stuff and a cafe like and something like that.
See, Trinity has a huge problem with parking. So maybe even like a parking garage with retail on the first floor would make sense.
I'm not sure where that would go though.
Maybe give up some of your athletic fields or something. You know, I don't know where else they have land to buy.
Yeah, I don't think they have that much of a space like that for garage.
Unless behind the rocks or somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they can take that lot away anyway.
Trinity will figure it out.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to happen with this president.
But I think that's the investment that we need to see more of in our neighborhoods. You know, and the fact that Trinity is tax exempt. So all those buildings, all those residence halls, they don't pay taxes on. So this is a great way for them to give back to the community. And they're spending quite a bit of money. So it's a good thing. And your lieutenant is doing a great job of, you know, I asked him last week, I said, are you know, squeezing Trinity to raise more money so we can put a big bronze statue of Chief Ravella out front?
Why would we want to put a chief? I would put my lieutenant in front of there, not the chief.
Well, that's somebody sent me an email last week, and there's a lot of people that, you know, like to dredge up the negative things more than we do. And somebody put a comment on there. It had nothing to do with the blog posting, which the blog posting was about snow plowing. And they brought up Lieutenant Allen, how he wasn't liked in the community, he wasn't respected in the community.
Which community?
Well, that's what I said. You know, I talked to Chief Rodriguez about it, and I said, I'm not even going to put this on the blog because the thing just makes no sense.
First of all,
I wish I knew who it was, and I would go back and say, you need to get out in the South End a little more, because the people at Marge love him.
First of all, I'm telling you, you know, he came to us as somebody with a lot of energy and committed to what he does.
And I don't think that's changed.
So
I think the energy is still there.
passionate about what he does, and you know, I didn't see anything else. Okay, so you know, and the resident in that area, that's what they saw. Okay, a person who is committed to do what he needs to do to make
and he does what he
improvements in
says.
our neighborhood.
if you
Yeah.
call them and, you know, they have an issue with drug dealing or abandoned cars, I had one of our state reps, I was out a week ago Thursday, with Representative Vargas. And he was complaining, you know, there's an abandoned car that's been in front of my house for 3 weeks, now it's covered with 2 feet of snow.
Well, why didn't he call somebody about it?
I don't know. I don't know if he called 311. I think he might have said he called 311. But
I would tell my lieutenant about it.
well, so we were out, and I was actually with Chief Rodriguez. So I texted Lieutenant Allen, and I said, you know, State Representative Vargas says there's an abandoned vehicle in front of his house on Douglas Street. Could you please have someone check it? And this was like 10 o'clock at night. He texted me right back. We'll look at it. We'll look into it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the next morning at 9 a.m., he texted me and said, Teddy, your CSO, Officer Sposito, Teddy took care of it. The car's been towed.
Right.
So I texted him back.
And that's the kind of person he is.
Well, I texted him back. I said, what took you so long?
No, I'm seriously, I've been involved with the police department years and years ago when we used to bash the police department, but I have woken up a couple of years ago and realized that they weren't a bad person. We were just, you know, but the point is that
You built good relationships, that's for sure.
ever since I've gotten into, I think it started when I did the Citizen Academy, when I had a different view of the department in general and realized that, you know, there's no need to bash the officers. And with different leadership at the time, maybe that's what we needed to do. But
If they weren't accountable and they weren't listening to you, you do what you gotta do. But you have nothing to complain about with
right,
the
I
response.
do not have anything to complain about, because as you say, I see a problem, okay, Rob, here's the problem, okay, I'm getting right on it, and it's done, okay?
Well, that's what-
And that's the kind of people we want working with us. Even though he doesn't sleep in Hartford, but he's as committed, even better than some of the people that
I
actually
think he's
sleep.
here, he almost sleeps here.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But there's been times I've called him about things. There was a burglary on Weathersfield Avenue one day. And the person called me because of security and cameras. So I met with them, and once I finished up, I called Lieutenant Allen and said, hey, are you aware of this, this, and this? And it was actually his day off. And about a half hour later, he was in the city dealing with these people. The night of the home invasion or scam or whatever you want to call it on Hubbard Road, I had called him to give him a heads up about what was going on. And he says, do you think I should come in? And I was like, nah, there's nothing for you to do here. So I'm coming in. And within about a half hour, he was there. So that's his commitment, you know.
Right.
And the night he came into Hubbard Road, it was freezing rain, it was slick out. And he didn't have to come in. He could have stayed in his warm
Right.
home.
And he is just as good as the people who works for him. Again, it goes back again to proper leadership. If you're in a leadership position where you have people working for you and they're not doing their job, then something is wrong. You gotta hold them accountable, okay?
But
And that makes you look good when they're doing the job right.
But even when you talk to the deputy chiefs in the police department now, they'll all jokingly tell you, when they leave their offices at 8 o'clock at night, Chief Ravella will say, hey, what, are you only working half a day today? So, and they know that it's a privilege to be where they're at, but there's also going to be a lot of pressure to be accountable to the public. And I think that's a mindset that really is changing. Even his CSOs, shooting task force, everybody knows he's a numbers man. He looks at the numbers, and you better be doing things to produce results. I wish that would transition over to City Hall. As much as I would hate to ever lose him as a police chief, he's the type of person we need for a chief operating officer that's going to make it clear what he expects, lay down the tone or set the tone, and then you either go with that or you find another spot. There's no accountability at City Hall for most part now.
And as I said, and I don't forget this one about, and I might have mentioned it at the last meeting, and I still haven't gotten an opportunity to go down to City Hall and do the public hearing, and the fact that, you know,
One of the council aides asked me today where you've been. He said, is Hyacinth okay? And I was like, yeah. He said, she hasn't been at the last 2 public comment sessions. Where? I said, I think she's getting fed up with talking and just seeing nothing change.
Yeah, well, it's not that. It's just that I've been busy. You know, my grandson, I've been trying to go visit with him and babysit him. He's so much fun at this age.
Now, what is he, a couple months old now?
Yeah, he'll be 2 months on the 21st. But the point is that I haven't gone because I've been busy, and it's a basketball game too, and the boys are playing now. I usually like to go watch them because
And it's cold weather, you don't
because
like
they
going
want me
out
to.
and it's cold and.
Yeah, but the thing is that I just still want to make, and I do have to make some, comment on the fact that when you call the city as a leader and said, I need somebody at our meeting to discuss issues on more one-on-one base, and that person's telling the person that he can't show up.
Don't bother.
I find that irresponsible, and that's not the way we do business in the city. Okay? You gotta hold people accountable.
Yep.
Always. All right? But I'm not letting it go. I will be there to talk about that, and I will be there to hold people accountable. So.
You need to be. I think a lot of the people in the city forget why they're there and who they work for. And I don't believe in going around saying to the cops, I pay your salary, you better do this or this and this. But
no, we gotta work together.
they're there because of us.
Right. But we gotta work together to get the job done. I mean, look at what our chief came in and did. He came in and connect all the dots together because he realized that he can't just do it on his own. His men alone can't do it.
Right.
So the emphasis
It's all
got
about
to be,
partnerships.
we've got to build a partnership with everyone to make this whole city works, okay? And I'm hoping it will continue to go on like that. I'm hoping that the council members and the mayor will always make sure he has the proper resource to do the job. And what's going on with the PAL program? How is that going?
The last I knew, and we haven't talked about this recently, I know he's got a lot of other things on his mind. The chief wanted to model it after the Waterbury program, which is very successful. It's actually set up as a 501c3. Officers can donate to PAL through deductions from their paycheck, and they work with thousands of kids every year as opposed to the couple hundred that we work with here in Hartford. So the chief was doing research to model it after Waterbury. We also had, before he was elected, now Senator Murphy had committed to
Some funding?
I had a conversation with him one day, and to his credit, he knew all about the Waterbury PAL program and how
Yeah,
it
because
worked.
before the election, there were like a dozen kids. We went to Waterbury for when President Clinton came in and Chris Murphy, they were doing some fundraiser, and those kids actually came on and do a presentation, did some singing or acting or something like that, and they were all from PAL.
Well, Senator Murphy knew how successful the program was. He had a rough idea how many kids they served and what they did. So he had said he would help us try to find maybe some federal money for PAL. So I think that's an important part of the puzzle. And PAL and the cadet program are recruiting sources for the future. HPD is hiring now. They're accepting applications for anybody out there in the community. And a lot of people are afraid about their past. That, I wouldn't get accepted because, I got caught with a little bit of weed when I was 16, or, I did this, I was in a stolen car or something, and I got caught. That doesn't necessarily exclude you, especially if it was, 10 years ago or something like that.
But that's why the PAL program, the cadet program is so critical.
Well, that keeps kids on the right path.
To start getting them in the right track for the future. And that's why, indeed, we should not just depend on federal dollars, but we should, try to lean more on cooperation and all those kind of people to help us fund it. Because when the budget get cut, the first thing federal is doing, we're cutting this. It comes down to the state, and the state is cutting down this. So therefore, we're always...
Well, I know last year at the budget time, one of the recommendations was to cut the funding for the cadet program and a couple other youth programs. And I think the chief at that time said, no, that's my minority recruiting. That's where my new officers come from, by mentoring these kids, keeping them out of trouble, letting them know what police work is about, what they have to do, what they can't do. And another big problem with the candidates is a lot of them can't pass the written test. So it takes a lot of work to mentor them, prepare them for what the questions are, how to read, how to write, things that
That is
you
why.
think are a given, but
Right.
it's not, it's
But
not a
that
strong
is
suit.
why I like the fact that Craig is doing this program, because I know Craig program always work, not Hartford Public School program.
No.
Public safety
I wish
under
Craig would take
Hartford
over
Public-
all of our schools.
Yes.
I wish we'd do away with the Hartford
I
school
know they
system
will be
and
well
make it all
educated,
Craig.
and especially if you get them in from an early age. I know there will be a better, they would be able to get better candidate through that, because their people would be able to read and write better at this age. I mean, here's I have a 7-year-old niece who's gone into the correct program from she was 3. Now she's an author. She's writing books. She's writing books all over the place. She's stocked up with different books that she wrote, you know. And so I believe in that kind of thing.
Well, I had somebody from the Board of Education, a member of the Board of Education I was talking to last week, and I had said something about, there was a community forum where the superintendent of schools was at, trying to sell everybody on
Yes, yes.
what a great program she has going. And I wanted to say, you know, all the parents were just sitting there eating this
Not
up.
a word.
And no harm, I wanted to ask her, why are we still failing half of our Hartford
Right.
kids that don't graduate?
Right.
And this member of the Board of Education said it's worse than half.
Yes, it's more than that.
So-
The point is that we're talking about adopting this common core. Common cores mean that if you live in New York and you have the standard down there, it's standard like that everywhere. But the point is, and we had a conversation about something, why is it that Hartford standard is always the lowest? It's like they have no
Because we
expectation
teach
of
to the
our
test,
children.
as long as they can pass the test.
Well, they can't even pass the test.
But I'd love
though.
to go into most of our schools, even at 7th or 8th grade, and hand a kid a newspaper and say, just read this, read an article
Right.
for me. And they probably can't.
They have to be coming,
That's-
we have to get focused on the elementary.
We're almost
And I'm
out of
gonna tell you
time,
something, majority of.
3 minutes, okay.
Yeah, majority of our elementary kids, that's where we need to put the resource, to make sure that they're getting ready when they get into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they can actually read and write. Our children at that
And
elementary level.
get jobs.
Exactly,
You
but.
can't get a good job if you can't read, write, and fill out an
But you have to
application.
get them prepared at that early age to
Yeah.
get them to even high school.
Yeah.
You know, I went to a program over the weekend where they were talking about all this good stuff and all that.
The credits are rolling, I think we're out of time.
Okay,
Don't forget, Hartford Town Committee, tonight, 7 o'clock, City Hall.
Yeah.
And also, if you can, tune into Channel 3 at 5:55 for a story I think you'll find very interesting about something bad that's going on in Hartford. I'm not gonna say much more than that right now, but
All
next
right.
week, our guest will be Councilman Joel Cruz. The week after that, our guest will be Len Bestoff from Channel 3, the Hartford Bureau Chief, that'll talk to us a little about what he does and where he came from.
all right.
So,
Where you came from?
thank you for joining us.
Have a good day, everyone.